What's up, everybody? My name's Big Cam and welcome back to another Spider-Man trailer reaction, and not necessarily the Spider-Man trailer we were expecting. We still are expecting a Spider-Man Brand New Day trailer to come soon, considering we're less than 6 months out to that movie. But before that, coming up in May, we have Spider-Man Noir coming to Amazon Prime in black and white and color, starring Nicolas Cage as Spider-Man Noir in reprising his role from the Into the Spider-Verse movie, where he voiced Spider-Man Noir in the animated movie, and now he's playing a live-action version of this character, but instead of being a Peter Parker, he's going to be Ben Reilly. So, very interesting, and we haven't really heard a whole lot of this series so far, but seeing this first trailer, it looks pretty awesome. It seems like it's going to get weird, and if you got Nick Cage in the role, might as well get weird. You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts! Even though that wasn't Nick Cage. Nick Cage is the personification of that line, just as a human being. You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. Woo! But let's not waste any more time, y'all. Let's jump on into this trailer and see what we notice.
Tell me why.
You already know how it ends.
Well, then, start from the beginning.
So who is this woman smoking a cigarette? And we see what it's going to look like a little bit in color. Although I probably will watch this the first time through in black and white, the way a noir show or a noir movie should be watched. And then I'll probably re-watch it in color just to see what it looks like. But Ben Reilly here, Nicolas Cage, he's got his little fedora hat on. He's got his trench coat. He seems to be walking through like a hospital, or like, you know, being like a morgue where there's bodies in those wall caskets or something. And we see our first shots of the actual spider suit, the black suit with the big white goggles, with the big hat, the trench coat, and he's out fighting on top of a old school type of car. So when is this going to be set? Maybe in the 60s or something like that, maybe or even earlier. So we're gonna get old school vibes plus noir vibes plus Spider-Man vibes as we see him swinging through the city a little bit and then plopping down in a Spider-Man pose. And this is Nick Cage, but I'm sure plenty of the scenes where he's, you know, in Spider-Man poses and whatnot is not Nick Cage, because he is up there in age. So, you know, he's more of the Ben Reilly face of it. But when we get into the Spider-Man outfit, I would want to know who the stunt guy is, because he's going to be the one that does most of the work in this movie or a show, right? Like, I feel like Nick Cage is getting a pretty easy job here, where he doesn't have to do all the Spider-Manning and he just gets to be the guy that delivers the lines. I don't know, but whoever this woman is, she seems to know his story, but she's telling him to start from the beginning. And we see like a clock ticking, and then it cuts to Amazon Prime, and on to the next portion of this video.
Ticks. Thoughts. Impulses. I manage to suppress them. Most of the time.
What's going on, Ben?
Woo! From the producers of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, I believe this is what, Lord and Miller are producing this again, or maybe that's just Sony is producing this or something like that. I don't know. But either way, we see him in like a hospital wing, and he's like the ticks, and he like kind of does this little motion, and we hear like bones cracking. But like, what is the deal here? His arms maybe are just either really hairy, or they look like something's up with those. And we have this like nice little dum da dum dum beat in the background as he says, ticks, thought, impulses, I manage to suppress them most of the time. And he's saying this to, I recognize that guy from somewhere. I recognize his voice too, but you know, he's in this like old style outfit, so maybe I'm hard to place him. But that, is that Lamar Morris? Lamar Morris, something like that. I don't know, but we see a glass breaking on the ground, and we see like his senses taking over, and he's like feeling his neck, maybe his hair standing up on his neck or something, and you know, his vision's blurry a little bit. We see a shadow going down the hallway with a gun, and then we cut into a close-up of an eye, in this like glass. That could be Nicolas Cage's eye, but maybe like a villain's eye looking down like a telescope or something. Rainy, maybe funeral with a umbrella. What people are calling Sandman online, but that looks more like maybe like the lizard is taking over than the Sandman to me. But either way, some of the Spider-Man villains we're seeing here, maybe a funeral place on fire, lots of little cuts at the end there, a doctor with a scalpel, a record scratching, a weird guy that's maybe the Vulture or something like that. I don't know, but this show seems like it's going to be weird and trippy and noir-esque, and even when the shot, it says from the producers of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, what is that in the background? Is that webs, or is that like hair? Is that... what are we looking at here? Like, this trailer is wild, and like we see a shot of him with Ben Reilly, private investigator, and he's looking in the window, so he's a PI. He's also maybe going to get bitten by a radioactive spider, but he's also like in the early 60s or even earlier type times. I don't know what's going on with this show, but I am going to eat it up once it comes out in May. But on to this next portion of the trailer.
Wait. What the hell happened to him?
I beat up some guys in a bar. And I got plastered.
So in one of the previous trailers, we heard like a snap and then the lights of his eyes turned on. But this time we see that he is in a bar somewhere and he's like, I got plastered. And so as much as the last portion of the trailer, I was saying this looked weird and creepy and interesting, this also looks like it's going to be funny, where he's like shit-faced in the daytime and he's like, I beat some guys up at a bar, and he's in like, he's drinking and he's got half the Spider-Man mask on and he's like, what, I got plastered, what's the big deal? And then he's like with the Spider-Man mask on, and then it cuts to on May 27th. So this is dropping in May, towards the end of May, May 27th, right before June, I believe, when Spider-Man Brand New Day is coming out, or that might be in July. But either way, heading towards that summer, we're going to be getting Spider-Man. Oh, man, I'm excited for this. More excited than I was expecting. You know, as it was getting rumored and talked about that we have Nicolas Cage coming to play a live-action version of Spider-Man Noir, I really didn't believe it was real until I saw like a couple teaser posts and them filming it. But even so, I was like, maybe this will get canceled and we'll never see it come to the light of day. But after seeing this trailer, I am thoroughly excited. I'm like, oh my god, I kind of want to see this. You know, I don't know how much Nicolas Cage is actually going to be in it, but it seems like they're letting Nicolas Cage be some Nicolas Cage. And as we head into this next portion of the clip, you'll see what I mean, because he's a nutbag doing nutty things. But on to the final portion of this trailer here.
What are you thinking about over there?
Bit of an existential crisis, if I'm honest.
Struck a nerve, huh?
Coming to Prime in true hue, full color, and authentic black and white. So I will, like I said, probably be watching it in black and white, and then I'll go back and watch in color. Although this trailer's fully in color, and it looks pretty awesome. And at the beginning of that trailer, we see him falling or jumping off the side of a building. Not cool. And then fire, and it looks like Nicolas Cage is looking into the fire and laughing, which is very Nicolas Cage. We see a spider crawling on a table and he's smacking the spider, so maybe that's the spider that gave him his powers. But this Spider-Man, instead of with great power comes great responsibility, it says with no power comes no responsibility, as we see shots of him taking photos, being a private investigator through like a crack in a door, and then like this doctor's putting a mask over somebody, and then he's in this like tent and he's like, oh, you know, like being Nick Cage, just being weird and goofy for no reason. But why with no power comes no responsibility for this Spider-Man? Interesting. And then we see shots that I'm going to eat up in black and white, where he's smoking at like a bar in his suit, and you know, he's got the slick back hair and the smoke all around him. You just know that shot's going to look so good in black and white. And you know, he's at some place where there's a singer on stage, maybe Lamorne Morris, if I have the guy placed correctly. He seems to be taking a photograph. We see maybe some guy that's on fire. Who else is on fire? Maybe not Johnny Storm. Who is there a villain in the MCU that's fire based? Or I think I saw somebody saying it was Molten Man. So maybe Sandman, Molten Man that we've seen so far in this trailer. And we see her asking him, what are you thinking about over there? And he's like, that I'm having an existential crisis, if I'm honest. And he's looking at his Spider-Man mask and his Spider-Man suit. And then we see a shot of him on a rooftop and lightning striking and behind him. And yeah, it's pouring rain. That's going to look great in black and white as well. And yeah, just he's chasing down bad guys. He's underwater. He's getting punched in the face. He's getting thrown off of buildings. He's watching that other woman that we saw earlier in the trailer falling off buildings. We're seeing tons of villains and tons of weird shit going on. Maybe Electro's hand. Some very interesting stuff. And then we see him swinging through New York. And we haven't seen Spider-Man swinging through New York like this in a long time. And he's broad daylight swinging through New York. He swings directly into camera as we see Spider-Man Noir, a new series coming to Amazon Prime, a Prime original, May 27th. Wow. And Spider-Man Noir. You know, like, interesting stuff here, man. I'm very interested so far in this trailer, and I think it looks pretty damn good. And you know, just from what we've seen so far, I'm here for it, man. I'm always been a Nicolas Cage guy, but he's fallen off in recent years. And if you know why, you know why. You know, tax evasion, or not tax evasion necessarily, but taxes. And he owed a lot of money, so he had to start doing just any movie, you know, and just for the paycheck of it. And now it looks like he's maybe getting back to picking some roles that he actually wants to do, or that they approached him being like, hey, would you want to do this? And he's like, hell yeah, I'm down. You know, so hopefully this brings Nicolas Cage back to a point where he's a household name, and he's referred to as Spider-Man Noir with Nicolas Cage. Never in my life did I ever think I could say the word that Nicolas Cage is Spider-Man. Like, what? That's crazy. Wow. What a world we live in, y'all. But I'd love to hear your thoughts about the Spider-Man Noir trailer that we just watched. And you can send those thoughts down in the comment section below, or you can send them to me on my other social medias. Links for those down in the description below. But thank you guys so much for making it this far into the video. And if you would like to support the channel further, the best way of doing that is dropping a like on this video, commenting down in the comment section below, subscribing if you haven't already, and make sure you hit that bell so you get the notifications the next time a Spider-Man trailer drops, and you'll get the notification when that comes out. Once again, my name is Big Cam. Thank you guys so much for sticking around this far, and I will see you beautiful folks in the next video. Peace.